The recent Taiwan Championships happened a little over a week ago, right at the end of May. And here we're going to look at the day one meta share of that event, the day two meta share of that event, and we'll also look at the top eight deck lists. I think that's all we have access to for the deck lists. But okay, so this is the day one meta share for this event. I believe there was a couple thousand Masters Division players. And they also have all of the Paldea evolved cards legal for this. So they had Triple Beat, Snow Hazard, Clay Burst, all of that stuff legal for the event. So we have here 18% Gardevoir, 11% Lost Zone Tina, 11% Arc Tina, 10% Chien Pao Palkia, 8% Lost Zone boxes, 7% Arceus with partners that aren't Tina, so that's a total of 18% Arceus decks. And then 11% Lugia, 6% of it being single, 5% of it being colorless, 5% Mew VMAX, that's most likely combining both Fusion and DTE Mew into one, although I believe Fusion is the more popular variant over there. And then 4% Miraidon decks, and then 15% decks other that were less than 4% share per archetype. So the things to take away here, Gardevoir is obviously very good and also very popular. Even though it's a little bit of a harder deck to play, that's not stopping people. I think the general skill level is rising, and the general confidence level, like how hard of a deck will I pilot, is rising across the general player base in all regions now because the game is just changing and evolving with the new cards and the new designs. So Lost on Guillotina, that's a big discussion topic, right? Because in America and in Europe, essentially just in the West, Lost on Giratina is not really seen as one of the best decks. I think Azul put it in his F tier or whatever on a tier list recently. So Lost on Giratina is very good and very versatile still, in my opinion. It can play the game in a couple of different ways because you have Sableye and Cramorant and Greninja. You know, you have the normal Lost Zone package, but then you also have Giratina, which can hit hard or just instantly knock something out. But they also have Jet Energy, Super Rod, and Iono over there for the deck. I think those are all important cards to keep in mind for the deck. And they've actually had Jet Energy for a while because Jet Energy came out in Triple Beat. So they've had Jet Energy for a good while longer. Um, and so I think Jet Energy had a lot to do with the higher play rates of Giratina in Asia compared to how it's been doing over here. I mean, I think it had okay play rates for like EUIC and then maybe one more event, and one more Western event, but then it wasn't getting the placements, so people stopped playing it. It did get second in seniors at EUIC, and then one of my junior students got top four with Lost Zone Tina at EUIC, and I think there was actually another Lost Zone Tina either in top four as well or in top eight there. But in the Masters division, it hasn't done anything too impressive in the Western events. So leave it in the comments why you think that is. I think the deck just needs that, it's missing some pieces without Jet Energy and Iono and Super Rod. So Arctina is the third, is tied for second most played at this event. Arctina, that doesn't surprise me. It surprises me a little because I didn't think people, especially I didn't think the Asian regions really valued how good Arceus decks still were, but it looks like they are valuing that in full force now because Arceus Tina is a really good deck. As also Arceus Dora Umbreon is a very good deck. Then we have Chien Pal around 10%. That's probably where I would expect Chien Pal to be for the NAIC Day 1 play rates at this moment because the deck is good, but it's not that good. Then Lost Zone boxes at 8%. Very surprised by that. I think it'll be much higher at NAIC. And then we have other Arceus decks at 7%, Lugia and Colorless. I think Single Strike Lugia will still be more played in at NAIC. And then Mew VMAX, I think, is kind of low at 5%. I think it'll be higher at NAIC. I think more people in Western events like, and then Maridon. Yeah, Maridon's 4%, and then we'll go over onto date percentages. Now, do note that players at these events, after you make it into day two, you go 7-2 or better in day one. You can completely change your deck. You can completely change your deck if you want. From what I understand, the majority of players don't change their decks, but anyone is allowed to. So some players do. But roughly, you could see here that Gardevoir, if we assume the percentage of players that changed their decks going into the tournament, going into the day two tournament, are not too significant, then we can just leave that part out of the equation. It'll definitely mess with the data a little bit. Maybe 3% of the Gardevoir players weren't Gardevoir players day one, and so on and so forth. But I think most people do stick with their day one deck. So Gardevoir was the most played deck in day one, and it also is the most populated deck in day two. Lost Zone Giratina was the second most in day one, and it's only the third most in day two. So like that's still pretty good. Like Chi and Pal and Lost Zone Tina tied for second in day one's play rate, and they're tied for third in day two's play rate. So both of those decks did really well for themselves. Lost Zone, there's more Lost Zone in day two. That could also that jump in Lost Zone could also be because people switched on to it, but it's probably because it was a little underplayed and it's still very good. Like it's one of the best decks at, and so it makes sense that 13% of day two would be Lost Zone boxes. Arctina, Mew VMAX, other Arc decks, and then both variants of Lugia, and then other in day two is there's 11% of other. Those are going to be less than 4% of a meta share. Now we can also look at deck lists for top 8 on PokemonCard.io. Um, First place Gardevoir is what we have here. First place Gardevoir was playing 2 Cresselia. That's very interesting. The 2 Cresselia should be good against Lost Zone decks. Something that confused by, and I almost wonder if it's a typo, is that they only have 3 Kirlia in this deck. The 3 Refinement Kirlia. This is the only place I think I've seen this list officially shared, and it says 3 Kirlia. They do play 3 Rare Candy, so you can be skipping the routes to Gardevoir a lot, but typically, I have seen 4 Kirlia in every Gardevoir deck, but this won this event, and yeah, only 3 Kirlia. But it does play the 2 Cresselia, and I think 2 Cresselia is good against Lost Zone. Cramorant can one-shot it, and then you can also heal off your Pokemon to knock out one of their Pokemon. It's also playing 2 Reversal Energy, which those are good for the Shining Arcana Guardy, but they're also playing the new Luxray, and the Reversal Energy works for that obviously as well. So yeah, the 3 Kirlia for that first place list is a little confusing. Then we have the second place list, which is Reversal Guardy. It's pretty similar to the Reversal Guardy lists that we've already seen from other events. It really relies on that Mirage step on turn 2. Only plays 1 Gardevoir EX because you don't really want to use it until the late game. This list plays a Rescue Carrier, which I don't think first iteration of Reversal Guardy that we saw played a Rescue Carrier. I wonder if maybe like the Super Rod or the Carrier, one of those could be switched out for maybe the Super Rod. I do like the Carrier, that it's just like an item. You don't have to use your supporter for turn to get back like an extra Ralts or a Curlia or a Manaphy. They're playing 4 Research, 3 Iono, and the straight Gardevoir I believe plays 4 Iono. Yeah, straight Gardevoir played 4 Iono, 2 Research. This version plays 4 Research, 3 Iono because they're trying to burn through the deck and discard the Mewtwo V Union pieces. Then top 4 we have another Gardevoir EX. This one is playing 4 Kirlia. I was getting a little scared if all these decks were going to be playing 3 Kirlia. One of the Mirage Step, then 3 Refinement of 1 Reversal, 4 Iono, 4 Rare Candy. Definitely an interesting part of this list. Then we have the last topper deck, which is Chi and Pal. I like the Lost City. I think you gotta be playing those Lost City. because you want to get rid of Manaphy so you can use Greninja against Lost Zone and Gardevoir. You also want to be getting rid of some of the Lost Zone's attackers, like get rid of their Radiant Greninja, get rid of their Dragonite or their Raikou, and then against Gardevoir, just Lost Zoning Raltses and Curlias, or even a Shining Arcana Gardevoir is going to be detrimental to them. They expect to be able to get those back with Super Rods. Top 8, we have Lost Zone Turbo. Just one V Pokemon in the deck, being Dragonite V, still utilizing Kyogre. They've got 2 energy recyclers and no super rods being used. So Artisan, I think, is the only new card here. They're also playing a Zinnia's Resolve, which I guess is really good at drawing through the deck late game. If your opponent has a full bench, you can just discard some energies from your hand as well and then draw up to 6 cards. So I kind of like that Zinnia's Resolve. I think that's actually really, really intuitive, because sometimes you need to dump energies out of your hand and then shuffle them back into your deck. I don't like playing Kyogre with 2 recyclers and no Super Rod, though. I feel like maybe I feel like some super rods or a third energy recycler could really go a long way with this list. That's just my opening opinion on it, though. Then we have top 8 Chien Pal. This is actually the list I've to start testing out because I liked the cross switchers canceling Cologne, and of course also the Lost City. Feels a little clunky for starters. It's okay. It feels okay so far. I'm not sure Bibarel is the way to go for building Chien Pao, but I'm seeing all of the Chien Pao lists being successful use Bibarel. I'm not sure if that's a coincidence or not. I'd like to see if maybe Celebrations Mew is a possible engine. I don't know, maybe the Curlia engine plus Shining Arcana. I'm not sure, but the Bibarel engine, I'm getting stuck with unplayable cards in my hand so far in testing. An extra of Excalibur, or I have a line of Palkia in my hand and nowhere to bench it, or I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like Bibarel for the deck, but that could also just be my early opinions, and those could definitely change because it's still very early on. And then we have 2 more decks here for the top 8. We have one more Gardevoir deck. This one is playing a Penny, 3 Rare Candy, 4 Curlia, 1 Reversal Energy, no Luxray. So everything here is pretty similar and by the book. Is something that North American lists have been running, and I do like Penny because you can heal as Ashen or Radiant Greninja or Cresselia, just anything versus Lost Zone, just healing, that's really, really good. And then there's also Avery. I'm not sure if Avery's there for a specific matchup. It's probably good into the mirror because you might make them discard a Pokemon that they didn't want to discard, maybe even 2 Pokemon that they don't want to discard because deck goes very wide. So the Avery's interesting. I don't know. I wonder if it's better than a research to just deck draw 7. I have one more Lost Zone box for the top 8. So this is another turbo build. This is without Kyogre. Playing Boss, playing Super Rods, and has Dragonite V, Raikou V, Drapion V as the attackers, and then also Jet Energy. I kind of like this list. I don't know. I don't feel like Kyogre is going to be incredibly good into the upcoming meta game because of all the Iono. We even have like the reversal guardies that play double Manaphy and stuff like that. And Kyogre just doesn't good against Gardevoir in general. I mean, partially because they can just get back their Manaphys. So yeah, I'm not too hot on Kyogre right now going into the Paldea Evolve format. Then we have some senior results. We have the senior Arceus Tina that won with the new Spear Tomb that shuts down Mew VMAX, or shuts down Genesect V more specifically. Then we have colorless Lugia as the runner-up, 1 Luxray, 3 Snorlax, a whole bunch of colorless energy plus a reversal. Got some Iono in there, and two Bravery Charms to make your Weirdeer, your Snorlax, make them more tanky. Then we have Lost Zone box with Zapdos and Fighting Energy. One of my juniors has actually been playing Zapdos Fighting Energy off and on in their Turbo Lost Zone just to get some more streamlined wins against Arceus decks. And then this also plays the Sky Seal Stone. I think that's pretty smart when you're playing the Zapdos too, because like that can just come out of nowhere, take 3 prizes or even 4 prizes. And then rounding out the top four there for the seniors, we have another Arctina with Flying Pikachu. That helps a lot against the Lugia matchup. And then they also have a Mawile in there. Mawile is definitely interesting. Then for juniors, we have Lost Zone Giratina. This is the first Lost Zone Giratina we'll see on here, and it's in the juniors division, but we might as well just take a quick look at the list. Super Ride, we got Path to the Peak, we got 2 Iona, 1 Roxanne, 2 Jet Energy, so a couple of new cards there, so 1 Choice Belt. Runner up was Lost Zone Box with a Luxray in it, Sky Seal Stone, Dragonite V, Raikou V. Then we have another Lost Zone Giratina in juniors. This one has Spirit Tomb in it, 1 Spirit Tomb, shut down the Genesect Vs. It also has Cleansing Gloves, which I think I like better than those in the other list. 2 Jet Energy, 1 Iono, 1 Roxanne. And then also Chi and Pal with 1/1 Palkia, 3/03 Excalibur, 3 Rare Candy. It's got the Canceling Cologne going on, but does not have Lost Cities. So, I mean, Canceling Cologne can still shut down the Manaphy, but it doesn't get rid of it for the rest of the game. So, yeah, those are the deck lists from this Taiwan Championships. And like I said, these are the day 1 here, and then day 2 meta shares from that event. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.